Hello, my name is Abdullah Davlat Boyev, and this is Europe Through a Lens. I studied abroad in Salzburg in the spring of 2023, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned many things and made some friends, as well as I picked up a couple of hobbies, one of them being photography. Now, when I got to Salzburg, I was taking pictures of pretty much anything and everything that I found interesting, whether it was the castle or some random buildings along the streets. But they were just pictures, something to keep as a memory and kind of look back on. What I didn't really look for, what I wasn't really aiming for was making them as high quality as I could. And that's kind of where the story comes in. So when I was taking photos in Salzburg and in other places around Europe at the beginning of the semester, they weren't really the best kind of photos, not real clear or I guess well thought to take of. But one of the kids in my group, he had a camera and he would take careful shots, kind of stand in a spot for a few seconds looking through the lens before snapping the photo. And that kind of inspired me to take up photography. Now, I didn't have a camera like him, but my iPhone camera's quality was pretty good. So I used that. And you can see here that some of the photos in Salzburg, especially at the beginning, are not bad quality, but not all of them are as well executed as they could have been. Later, when the photos get to Vienna and Prague, some of them are not as high quality either. And then kind of the how good I take those photos kind of climbs and climbs as the video goes on and as the semester progressed. So I think maybe you might be able to identify what kind of style I was going for. Now, I had kind of a few different styles that I would choose and pick from depending on what kind of photo I was taking. For nature, obviously, there was not really a whole specific set going on there. I just thought that if I took, maybe there was a nice shot of a flower or an animal, maybe sun shining onto some trees, that would be a good photo. Otherwise, the main styles I had were clear pictures of whatever it could be, like a group of trees or a building with a clear contrast in the back, such as the sky or a different colored building that would kind of pop out the main focus. Another style I had was taking photos of a place where the lines kind of converge on a point in the horizon far away. So maybe like roads or an arch or something like that. And that was kind of my style for the whole semester, with maybe some angled shots of parts of buildings and things like that. Now, these photos not only represent a moment in time, but many of them have a story behind them as well. And as you can see throughout the video as it plays, maybe you can kind of come up with a story of what you think it meant to me. But yeah, I think a lot of these photos kind of reminded me of other things, personal connections, whether they were video games or the architecture, for one, definitely remind me a lot of home, where we have a lot of Soviet era architecture and buildings. And this was especially true in East Berlin, as well as a couple other cities throughout Europe where the buildings kind of felt like home, to say the least. These photos not only remind me of my experiences and what I saw in Europe, but also they were a teaching lesson because, for one, the photography was not always easy to capture, and it did take some, I guess, skill, but also work on my part to make sure I got a good photo. But also, these photos kind of, remind me that there are multiple connections you can make with a photo, and it doesn't have to be just towards one thing. Um, but yeah, these photos kind of also made me feel that they kind of reflect a person as well, because they kind of show what that person is interested in and kind of what their main main thing to take photos of is, I guess, if that makes sense. But the photography and the travels definitely were a big part of my semester. It made me feel that, there's life behind the photos, and even though they may seem like stills, there's definitely a big story behind them. And moving on, study abroad really changed my perception of a lot of things. Like, I learned so much about different cultures and met so many different people who all had their own stories to share with me, and I appreciated that, and I was able to share my own story with them as well. And being in a German-speaking country, living in one for 4 months, also it greatly improved my language skills. And at the by the middle of the semester, I was speaking pretty fluently, I would say. At least it wasn't a challenge to speak. I didn't really have to think about anything. But yeah, and I guess this journey traveling as well, I love travel, but especially through Europe, it was a lot of trial and error, and sometimes you mess up, and that's okay. I mean, I definitely messed up a couple times, but I was able to find a solution for that. But I think with messing up and stuff, it's a learning lesson. It's good. You won't really learn if you don't fail. And that's what happened to me. There was maybe either a missed bus here or a missed train, or getting back home late, or having to get up early. You don't really feel like doing some of the things, but you realize that you tell yourself, when am I going to have this chance again? So you push through it and you do it because you know it's worth it. But yeah, and all the travel that I experienced, that was definitely something to reflect back on. And my photos, I think, tell that story as well, that there was a lot of work involved to make this happen. But all in all, it's good. It was fun. And I think study abroad was probably the best thing I've ever done in my college career. I wouldn't change it or trade it for anything. And yeah. But anyways, before the video ends, I just want to say thank you for tuning in and watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, photography and language and travel, all of that, all played a huge part in this. And making those personal connections it was nice. It was nice because I could have something I could relate to and still kind of I could feel both a little at home and like a tourist in many of the places I went to. And it was really good to be able to make those connections. But anyways, thanks for watching.